The ultimate tragedy of your existence is not that you will one day face physical death, but that you are currently allowing your life to be lived as a slave while calling yourself a free man. You are sleepwalking through your prime years, draped in a magnificent, invisible straitjacket, woven entirely from the opinions, judgments, and external chaos of the crowd. Look closely at your daily exhaustion. You wear a highly polished mask of independence, custom designed by a world that measures power by the size of your possessions and the height of your status. You react frantically to events you cannot control, weep over opinions you did not choose, and hand the keys to your inner peace over to any passing stranger, algorithm, or text message that seeks to disturb you. Your true sovereign strength has been buried beneath a mountain of restless strivings. You are a ghost inhabiting a biological machine, wandering blindly through your existence while your authentic liberty and internal tranquility slowly suffocate in the dark. I know this devastating bottleneck intimately because I did not learn the laws of freedom from a gilded lecture hall or a position of imperial comfort. I was born in the brutal shadows of Hierapolis as a slave, owned by a master, and subjected to a life where my physical flesh was not my own property. I walked with a shattered leg, crushed by the casual cruelty of a master's whim, knowing day in and day out the raw reality of chains, cells, and absolute subjection. The physical walls of slavery were closed tightly around my life, demanding that my spirit submit to the external world. But in that cold, unyielding darkness, I pulled back the deceptive veil of human panic. I did not find a world where chains could touch the mind. I found an absolute, piercing authority. I realized that freedom is not an external condition granted by an emperor, but a hard sovereign architecture forged within the boundaries of your own judgment. Today, I am stepping out of the ancient past to shatter the golden cage of your mental slavery and demand that you reclaim the absolute empire of your mind before your brief day turns into permanent night. Observe the breathtaking, ridiculous hypocrisy that rules the psychological behavior of the modern individual. You scream at the top of your lungs for absolute freedom, liberty, and self-mastery. Yet you actively, willingly perform the labor of a slave to obtain things that are entirely outside your power. You cross oceans, conquer corporate fields, and sacrifice your vital health to secure wealth and reputation. But you cannot survive a single hour of absolute silence with your own mind without reaching for a digital feed to shield you from your thoughts. You claim to want an unshakable life, yet you continuously drag garbage into your mind, inviting every petty insult, public scandal, and trivial notification directly into your internal sanctuary. You are trapped inside what I call the mirage of external ownership. This is the catastrophic illusion that your happiness or misery is caused by the things that happen to you, rather than the internal opinion you form about those things. You have been systematically trained to ignore your own primary intuition, treating the spark of self-governance within your own soul as a dangerous error, while treating the frantic desires and superficial values of the collective as an absolute gospel. You fall into despair when an event ruins your plans. You curse the weather of fortune, and you demand that the universe bend its laws to accommodate your comfort, experiencing your existence purely through the lens of a victim, by proxy. What a pathetic, magnificent form of self-destruction. You are actively betting your actual present reality to chase a phantom drawing of control that society has sketched on a wall. The system does not want you to be a master of your mind. It wants you to remain driven, reactive, and soft. It feeds you a steady stream of synthetic anxieties and material cravings so that you remain permanent consumers of its shallow remedies. The moment you allow an external condition to dictate whether you feel whole or broken, you commit a form of spiritual suicide. You become a mere echo of a slave who died centuries ago. Your entire existence is reduced to a footnote in a societal ledger written by a committee of strangers. You are broken, not because your challenges are heavy, but because your inner ledger is entirely bankrupt of original detachment. To understand the absolute gravity of your captivity, we must confront the mechanical engine that drives this matrix, the iron doctrine of the Prohairesis, the unyielding architecture of your moral choice and moral will. Society operates not as a benevolent guardian, but as an aggressive syndicate of competing demands, structured to extract your vital focus while demanding your complete psychological compliance. The virtue in most request by this collective system is not courage, not original clarity, but this terrifying compliance. It demands that you sacrifice your distinct internal fire to maintain a polite, predictable stability for the marketplace. The global machine has weaponized modern corporate culture and digital networks to create a hyper-managed prison of secondary thought, turning you into a highly efficient, predictable cog in a planetary wheel. This creates the devastating phenomenon of the stationary motion. Look at your modern self today. You are working 80 hours a week, surviving high-stakes meetings, and managing complex logistics with furious intensity. Yet you are completely, structurally stationary. You are moving across the grid of a pre-designed chessboard, but you do not own the board, and you did not invent the rules of the game. You are running yourself into a state of chronic, biological exhaustion inside a beautifully constructed golden cage. Your unique capacity for absolute freedom has been systematically castrated by the terrifying weight of what I call the unassigned intention. You split your attention across 1,000 things that do not belong to you. The actions of your leaders, the judgments of your peers, the outcomes of your material strivings. while leaving your own mind completely unfortified. You have become an unthinking victim of optical distractions, entirely terrified of standing alone in the present moment with your own independent evaluation. You compromise your primary identity to buy the temporary, volatile protection of a corrupt herd. But the harsh, unyielding law of nature is that nothing can bring you peace but your own internal governance. Nothing can bring you true, sovereign power but the absolute execution of the dichotomy of control. When you choose to place your hope in external variables, you are trading your eternal birthright for a bowl of collective soup. This systemic compromise pushes you directly to the edge of the cliff, the terrifying, unblinking threshold of the unscared mortality. Look ahead at the final horizon of your life. Imagine yourself 30, 40, or 50 years from today, sitting in a quiet room as your biological strength rapidly fades away into old age and decay. The game is over. The social noise has completely died down. The digital crowd has vanished. The corporate status has evaporated. You are forced to stand entirely alone with your own memory, looking back down the long, straight highway of your existence. And here is the brutal, devastating realization. You look down at your own open palms, and you see that they are completely white, smooth, and clean. They are entirely devoid of any scars, calluses, or structural damage from fighting the impulses of the world. Why? Because you lived your entire life in a state of deep, pathetic cowardice. You never once risked your comfort to establish your own internal independence. You never built a single structure of discipline that belonged exclusively to your own soul. You avoided every necessary mental battle, hid from every dangerous confrontation with your own ego, and allowed the herd to dictate your reactions. Your hands are clean, not because you are pure, but because you were too cowardly to ever touch the raw, unformed stone of reality. You chose a slow, bloodless suicide of compliance over the agony of clear-eyed, realistic self-expression. The warnings of history pale before this simple, dynamic truth. Your youth is a finite currency, and the clock is running out right now. Remember the unyielding law of the mind. It is not events that disturb men, but the judgment they bring to bear upon those events. To save yourself before it is too late, you must seize the ultimate weapon of the supreme boundary. You must declare a violent, unyielding war against your own reactivity. You must treat the voice of the crowd as a superficial distraction and begin to explicitly trust the silent primary fire of your own reason. If a man does not explicitly break the iron cage of his compliance today, he deserves to stay cold. You deserve to die as a mere pawn in a game that was never yours. The moment you seize this internal weapon, the structural cage of your confinement completely disintegrates. You experience a magnificent catharsis, the absolute rebirth of your cognitive sovereignty. You step down from the corporate treadmill of social compliance. You close the heavy iron gates of your mind against the noise of the collective, and you take absolute ownership of your inner citadel. You stop looking backward at past regrets or forward at a phantom tomorrow, and you establish your throne firmly within the unyielding architecture of the present moment. Let us lower our internal tempo now. Let us lower the rhythm of our frantic minds and anchor ourselves deeply to the solid reality of the present. Turn away from the synthetic glare of your digital screens. Listen closely to the steady, deep, rhythmic expansion of your own breath. Feel the heavy, undeniable weight of your physical body pinned to the gravity of this turning, living earth. Let your name, your societal titles, your past failures, and your future anxieties blur completely into the background. You are not a machine designed for the convenience of the herd. You are a sovereign sanctuary of pure awareness, a channel through which the cold, clear-eyed focus of reason and survival enters the universe. As you step away from this video and return to the chaotic arena of the modern world, you are forced to confront an absolute, binary choice. The veil has been lifted, and you cannot return to your ignorance. When you close your eyes tonight in the silence of your room, you must answer one dangerous, final question. Will you step out into the arena, awaken the sovereign master of your own destiny, and build a world of strategic independence that is uniquely your own? Or will you remain a comfortable, broken tenant in a life you do not own? Choose wisely. The clock is ticking, and the sun is setting on your short hour. Leave your answer below in the silence of the comments section.